Google's new AI alpha genome just unlocked the code of human life, and that statement isn't hype the way it might sound at first. What alpha genome represents is a fundamental shift in how biology, medicine, and human health are understood, studied, and advanced. In 2026, this system marks a turning point where AI stops being a supporting tool in biology and starts becoming a primary engine of discovery. For decades, scientists have known that the human genome is the instruction manual for life. But knowing the sequence of DNA letters was never the same as understanding what they actually do. The human genome contains over 3 billion base pairs, and only a small fraction directly codes for proteins. The rest has long been called junk DNA, not because it's useless, but because we didn't know how to interpret it. That's where Alpha Genome changes everything. Google's Alpha Genome is designed to understand the genome not as a static string of letters, but as a dynamic system. It analyzes how genes are regulated, how sequences interact with each other, and how tiny changes in DNA can cascade into major biological effects. Instead of asking what a gene is, Alpha Genome asks how the entire system behaves. This is the real breakthrough. Biology is not linear. One gene doesn't equal one trait. The genome operates more like a network, with switches, feedback loops, and context-dependent behavior. Alpha Genome is built to model that complexity at a scale humans never could. What stunned researchers is Alpha Genome's ability to predict the functional impact of genetic variations. In the past, identifying whether a mutation mattered could take years of lab work. Now, Alpha Genome can simulate how a single change in DNA might affect gene expression, protein production, and downstream biological processes. This is why people say it unlocked the code of human life. Not because it solved biology completely, but because it translated genetic information into actionable understanding. One of the most immediate impacts is in disease research. Many genetic disorders are caused not by broken genes, but by regulatory errors. A gene might be present and intact, but switched on at the wrong time, in the wrong place, or at the wrong level. Alpha Genome can identify these regulatory failures with unprecedented accuracy. This has massive implications for rare diseases. Millions of patients live with conditions that doctors can diagnose genetically, but can't explain mechanistically. Alpha Genome helps bridge that gap. It can suggest why a mutation causes disease and where intervention might actually work. Cancer research is another area being transformed. Cancer is fundamentally a disease of genetic misregulation. Alpha Genome can analyze how mutations alter cellular behavior, not just in isolation, but across entire networks. That allows researchers to identify new therapeutic targets that were invisible before. Drug discovery also changes dramatically. Instead of testing thousands of compounds blindly, researchers can use Alpha Genome to predict how drugs will interact with genetic pathways. This makes drug development faster, cheaper, and more precise. In a field where failure rates are historically high, that's a seismic shift. But the implications go far beyond medicine. Alpha Genome also reshapes how we understand evolution and human diversity. Small genetic differences can lead to big differences in traits, health outcomes, and disease risk. Alpha Genome helps explain why. It reveals how variations influence gene regulation rather than just gene presence. This matters for personalized medicine. In the past, treatments were designed for the average patient. Alpha Genome enables treatments designed for specific genetic profiles, not just at the individual level, but at population scale. Another shocking aspect of Alpha Genome is how it changes the role of human researchers. Scientists are no longer limited to forming hypotheses and testing them one by one. Alpha Genome can generate hypotheses, simulate outcomes, and highlight the most promising paths forward. Humans shift from explorers to strategic decision makers. This doesn't replace scientists, it amplifies them. But it also changes what expertise looks like. Understanding biology now requires understanding AI models, data interpretation, and probabilistic reasoning. The life sciences are becoming computational at their core. There are also ethical implications that can't be ignored. Unlocking the functional code of human DNA raises questions about privacy, consent, and control. If AI can predict disease risk, traits, or biological outcomes from genetic data. Who gets access to that information? How is it protected? And how is it used responsibly? Google emphasizes that AlphaGenome is designed as a research tool, not a consumer product. But history shows that powerful tools rarely stay confined to labs. As capabilities spread, governance becomes critical. Another uncomfortable reality is inequality. Advanced AI-driven genomics could widen gaps between healthcare systems that can afford it and those that can't. The technology has the potential to save lives, but only if access is managed thoughtfully. Still, the upside is enormous. AlphaGenome accelerates understanding in areas that were previously slow, uncertain, and expensive. It reduces trial and error. It turns biology into a more predictable science. This is similar to what AlphaFold did for protein structures, but on a much broader scale. AlphaFold solved a major bottleneck in molecular biology. AlphaGenome tackles the entire regulatory logic of life itself. And that's why the title matters. Google's new AI AlphaGenome just unlocked the code of human life, not by reading DNA, but by understanding it. We're entering a world where biological questions that once took decades to answer can be explored in days. Where diseases can be understood before symptoms appear. Where medicine becomes proactive instead of reactive. This doesn't mean biology is solved. Life is still complex, messy, and influenced by environment, behavior, and chance. But the map just got dramatically clearer. AlphaGenome represents the moment when AI stopped being a tool for biology and became a partner in decoding life. And once that door is open, there's no going back. That's why this breakthrough matters, not just for science, but for what it means to understand ourselves at the deepest possible level.